Hello and welcome back to Talk of the Apprentice, a mini-series from Talk of the Townsends where we talk about the latest UK series of The Apprentice. What are you up to over there?
I just had a spoonful of peanut butter.
Surely that's the worst possible thing to eat right before you have to speak. Is
Oh, no. Or
popcorn. A big old spoonful of peanut butter.
Popcorn would have been the worst.
My name is Benedict Townsend.
And I'll be Hannah Townsend.
Yes, you will. And I'm going to say it right now. Bold thing to say. I think that was maybe one of the greatest episodes of The Apprentice of all time.
You're going in hot.
I'm going in hot. Do you back me?
Do you know what? It was very enjoyable from start to finish.
It had basically everything you would want from a very funny episode of The Apprentice.
Yeah.
Because sometimes it gets wacky in the show, but in a way where it feels a bit forced, where the producers are making them do like a ridiculous task and it all feels like, what if this went wrong? Whereas this one went wrong in a nicely organic way of everyone just being bad at their jobs.
Ka-ching, ka-ching.
And it was funny. Ka-ching, ka-ching.
Ka-ching, ka-ching,
We were,
ka-ching.
every time that dog got a coin, we were laughing, weren't we? Ka-ching.
So let's start at the very beginning. The London Stock Exchange and old Alan Sugar.
Once again, not turning up. CBA, he's doing the Lorraine Kelly yet again.
I was desperate to know what time it was in the London Stock Exchange. Like, there were no clocks anywhere. There were so many screens, but no clocks.
Do you think they cut them out because they thought it will be weird continuity?
Possibly, but I really wanted to know. There must be loads of clocks.
They call you the timekeeper around these
Surely
parts.
there would be clocks for everywhere around the world. Isn't that what the stock exchange is? Because they're like...
Hannah, sorry. It's not the clock exchange.
Christ. Because it's because isn't it like Japan's just open, Tokyo's just open, New York is live? Isn't that what the stock exchange is?
Kind
In all
of.
the movies, they're like, they're trading now.
Yeah.
So where were the clocks?
Yes, there is a certain element of clocks involved, I guess.
There was a bit of a clock up, if you ask me. So this week's PMs were Frederick and Jordan. I will say Dean got so much screen time. I actually thought he was PM for most of the episode.
Yeah, you kept going, is Dean PM? Is Dean PM? And I kept going, no, he's sub PM. And he went, is Dean PM? I went, no, as established, he's sub team PM. I did like how Dean put his hand up, and I would say a good argument when I am the only parent here, maybe I could be PM. And then Fred was like, as a public speaker, I think it should be me. And the team was like, Fred.
And didn't he say, as a public speaker, and I'd done athletics with kids or something, so vote me.
Not to be mean, but we saw the extent of his public speaking last week in Turkey, where he was staring into people's eyes.
Yeah, but he was a lot better this episode.
He was a lot better, and he did do some good speaking, to be fair. There is such an interesting phenomenon of like, people can be so bold and so out there, but then the second the spotlight hits them, they will just wilt. And I like Jordan, but the man collapsed immediately.
They were all looking for very clear direction from him, which he just didn't seem to have. He put himself up so confidently, and then he just didn't have anything, did he?
Not only did he not have anything, he also seemed kind of annoyed and stressed when anyone would ask him a question. They'd be like, what do you think the app should be? And he's like, I don't know what you're asking me. I don't know. What is this? Some kind of app?
In his defense, I did feel like everyone was setting up an alibi from the second that started. Because you either want to be given a crystal clear brief, so you're like, we did exactly what you said, or be given no brief. The worst thing you could be is like kind of brief, because then the decisions are down to you.
Exactly. Yeah. We're at a point in the show now where people are being openly tactical.
Yeah. But why could no one else come up with an idea? Like Mia on the other team wasn't PM.
No.
She came up with everything because she wasn't scared.
Yes.
The problem is everyone's scared because no one wants to put their neck on the line for anything. So it's like no one's prepared to be in that group and said, well, which one are we doing? I think mystical. I think superhero. No one wants to do that.
This is why Mia is good. And this is why Mia, I think, will make it to the final. And I'm pretty confident Mia is going to win this season.
I think so.
I think she's going to win.
They're setting her up to win.
Yeah, definitely. Well, she's setting herself up with good performance.
Yes.
But I know what you mean. The edit is very much, she's getting the screen time. It feels like a winner's edit. But like, you're right. It's because she puts herself out there. She has the courage to say, what if there was a dog?
Yes.
And what if that dog was yellow?
Mia was confident enough to say yellow is definitely going to be a big thing for us. And Frederick was confident enough to say, that's a good dog, Mia.
She was also just shooting down every single thing Frederick said.
No. But he was still like, amazing work. That's a good job. Dog.
Well, both.
Is it a banking app or is it a barking app?
You said that at one point.
Yes.
What is this, bloody Barclays?
Oh, wait.
Hey-o.
I honestly think the highlight of this episode was them saying you can't bankrupt 6 to 9 year olds.
One of the funniest quotes in not just Apprentice history, Like TV history. You can't bankrupt 6 to 9 year olds.
What was the idea that they would be playing a game and then they would hit rock bottom and something would come up on screen like, you're bankrupt?
Well, his idea, they were like, it was so dumb. They were like, how does the game end? And he was like, they'll just hit a wall, right? Which is already crazy. And then Anissa was like, what if the wall had the word bankruptcy written on it? Now, look, I think she was coming from a smart place because she was like
learning.
She was like a dog with a bone, a banking dog with a bone, where she was like, we need to get some kind of financial literacy in this. Obviously, her idea was that we need to teach kids about bankruptcy.
Yes.
Although Jordan's idea was we need to teach kids about safe online shopping. 6 to 9 year olds.
I guess, what age would they start online shopping?
Not my kids. Are kids buying stuff online at 8?
Possibly, maybe.
Maybe they're buying Fortnite stuff.
The whole episode was just so funny when they kept saying to Dean, what if when they collect the coins, there could be a fun fact? And he was like, nah.
Just completely offhand, just like, nah. Just, and implicit in that is just like, you idiot.
Yeah.
It's just not having it at all. He's like, there will be no education in this app.
I think at one point, Frederick did say to Mia, that is sensational.
Genuine question. Do you think the producers of the show stepped in when they designed a dog collar that had SS on it? Do you think they stepped in and went, I'm sorry, even within the bounds of this show, we cannot let you pitch a dog collar that has SS written on it?
Someone said, I think a pound sign would work better there.
Because they seemed pretty set on it. And then midway through, they were like, actually, why don't we swap for the pound sign? I think once the crew had all stopped laughing, Tim was like, God, like, we can't let them do this. There's limits to how stupid. This is an Arctic savior. Like, this is genuinely offensive.
Yes. Yeah. Maybe.
Would be quite funny, though, if you were like, hello, Monzo, we'd like to present our Nazi dog banking app.
Ka-ching! 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 Ka-ching!
Every time it made that noise, it was funny.
It was so funny. During the pitch was my favourite ka-ching, 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 because the way it just kept going, it was so loud in that room. Ka-ching! Ka-ching! Ka-ching!
You know, when you're designing an iconic brand, you want a great tagline.
Catchy. Quick.
You know, just do it. Have it your way. I'm loving it. What was the tagline they came up with? We made a note of it. Could you read it to us, please?
Begin your journey into the wider world of financial responsibility.
I mean, it just rolls off the tongue, doesn't it?
6 to 9 year olds in the playground chanting that.
Responsibility. But, you know, to me, that screams mythical bank.
Yeah, that logo.
Maybe one of the worst logos ever.
I think in Apprentice history, that logo might go down as one of the worst because it was, one, boring.
Yeah.
And then it just had the big block text underneath. It was truly terrible. They didn't show us enough of that design process of how that was the final, draft.
That must have been, and in a way I hope it was, like a real rush job.
Well, I'm assuming.
Yeah. We've seen worse logos in terms of like really ugly or accidentally looks like poo or whatever, but this was the worst because it's like so bland.
So bland.
It looks like just
For kids.
It's like you've just written it on a piece of paper in 2 seconds.
Let's talk about the Apprentice pictures then, because from costumes to stories, we saw some of the best pitching we've seen in Apprentice history.
We did.
And some pretty bad.
Some of the worst, I would say.
Some of the worst. Let's start with Frederick.
Yes.
Incredible pitching.
I mean, they even brought in like inspirational music in the background. He was like, that little boy. And I was like, was me. And I was like,
straight to the heart.
And I turned to you and I went, that little boy in Italy. Who moved to the UK. He'd just been to Zzz's. Because I know the law. It was beautiful pitching.
Yeah, really good.
Amazing array of costumes. Jordan was wearing, I think he thought it was a superhero cape. It was very clearly a Dracula cape. And then also, I think it was Frederick and his team were wearing the most nightmarish dog masks.
Awful. Which they walked in and then immediately took off.
Yeah, because they were like, well, we don't want to terrify Monzo. Tiny thing, by the way, was the guy from Monzo, was his name Coyne?
I'm not sure. We thought possibly.
I might have misheard, but I thought his name was like, hi, I'm Tom Coyne. And I'm like, that's so perfect.
That works. Checks out.
Because of coins.
Chisola was also incredibly strong in the pitching process.
She's strong all round. I'm going to say now, actually, I'm swapping her out into my top 3 for the final. I'm taking Max England out because he had a strong start, but we've barely seen hide nor hair of him.
He's laying low, isn't he?
He's laying low. Whereas Chisola is another person who also not afraid to put her neck on the line.
It's true.
She's got ideas. They're usually actually pretty good. And that lady can pitch.
Yeah, she really could. She really told, again, she's a good storyteller. She felt relaxed. Where
Liam, who is also...
had a bit of a shocker.
He had a bit of a shocker, and you said one of the meanest boardrooms ever.
I honestly think this was one of the meanest boardrooms we've ever seen for so many reasons.
Yeah.
First off, Frederick, they didn't even call them back. Straight firing.
Crazy. When that music started fading in, the firing music, I was like, is he just going to do it? No, he's just going to raw dog the firing?
And then he was just gone.
He was just gone. He was there 2 seconds ago. Lord Sugar had been like, who do you want to bring back? And he's like, well, I'll bring back this person. And he was like, actually, forget all that. You're out, mate.
Because he made bad choices. He clearly wasn't impressed with the choice that he made.
No.
So he was like, because he wasn't even bringing Keir back in.
Lord Sugar had just spent like 10 minutes going, Keir is clearly the worst person in this task. And then he went, Frederick, who do you want to bring back? And he was like, everyone but Keir. And at that point, he was like, not only are you wrong, I'm going to instantly fire you as punishment.
Get the bags. Sometimes with The Apprentice, literally the writing is on the wall of who Lord Sugar is going to be firing. So if you can put 2 and 2 together and bring back the person that he clearly thinks is responsible for the failure of the task.
Yeah.
We also saw them praise Chisola.
Yeah.
But put down Liam so harshly at the same time. Obviously,
Yeah.
Liam, he had a tough start with his pitch, which he admitted.
Yeah. And they literally were like, Chisola did an amazing job rescuing after like a devastating opening or something. It's like, you could have just said she was good. And then you just saw Liam just be like, oh.
And then finally, we had Keir Shave, who would not, like a dog with a bone, would not stop going on about
like a dog with a bank.
how good his pitch was. And then they delivered the feedback that they literally said he was the worst out of the 3.
Yeah.
What else did they say? They said something else.
He was just like, look, I think I did my best. I think my selling was good. And they were like, not only did the client not buy anything, they said it was because of you.
No.
Basically. And then also, the thing I said to you was like, he keeps going on about how well he's selling himself, but it's like, you're failing to sell yourself even right now in this moment. They will give you a point if you acknowledge a failure.
Yes,
like,
of course.
Dean went, look, I made a crap app.
Yeah.
You know, I've conveniently forgot to include all the things I was supposed to include, but it did go ka-ching when the dog picked up a coin. But Keir Shave just kept being like, no, I think I did great. And you saw Lord Sugar just be like, come on, man.
I almost feel like he had a get out of jail free card though, because he literally could have said, I didn't design the app. So yeah, maybe I shouldn't have been up there, but I was just trying my best.
Yeah, he could have blamed the PM. He should have said the PM made the wrong decision putting me on that presenting team.
Yeah, and then you're
done.
I struggled with it. A devastating boardroom all round. Real Apprentice highs as viewers.
Yes, and incredible Apprentice lows, but entertaining lows.
Cha-Ching.
I was thinking when I was watching it, like when you sign up to The Apprentice, you think, I'm going to be on TV, maybe I'll get a bit of notoriety, maybe I'll get an investment. What you don't think about is the world's closest camera close-up on you as you're holding back tears before you're fired. Like, watching that back must be quite hard because they're always very vulnerable in that moment before they're fired. And you think, oh, that's a moment where you go, why did I come on this show?
I think it makes you even more vulnerable because you've had to like fight your corner and usually put other people down a lot. And then you come out defeated and it's a bit sad, you know, it's a bit like, oh God, I tried to throw someone else under the bus. It didn't work and now I've got to come.
Yeah, because it's not like, at least I was like, heroic in my efforts. It's like I slung a bunch of mud and then I got mudded and then I died, you know?
All right, 2 things we haven't mentioned. Number 1 is Keir, when he was asked about the app usage time, saying, well, that's just the world that we're living. That's just the way it's going.
That woman from like this major bank, and she's like, well, we don't want kids on their phones all the time. And he was like, listen, lady, that's the world we live in.
Yeah. It's down to the parents to set the screen time. He could have said, look, in later development, we're looking at having a, you know, you go outside for a walk or whatever on the app, to just say, look, tough luck. That's the world. They love the screens.
We gaffed. Also, special shout out to Amber Rose, who had like 0 screen time last week. She was a bit more in this episode.
Yeah, definitely.
She is one of the best like people to cut to for a reaction.
Yes.
Her just stood there watching the pitches and reacting was so funny. Like a cartoon, like head in hands, going like, oh God, like looking to the heavens whenever someone would say something stupid. She was so funny.
The camera shot made it seem as if the pitchers would be able to see them as well.
I think they definitely could see them.
Because, you know, you try and hold a bit of composure. I think Amber Rose, it was very, very fun to watch her reactions. Because also she was doing what we were doing at at home that was just like, oh, come on, Keir. Obviously, that's not what you say.
Yeah, it wasn't like exaggerated. She wasn't doing it to like have a go at him. Like it was clearly from the heart.
Yeah.
But also, you're right. I think they were literally about 10 feet away from those banking people. Like it was all visible.
And then the final thing we missed out on speaking about is the fact that they made them go all the way to Salisbury.
Oh my
Benedict
God.
and I got married in Salisbury. That is not a quick drive from London. If you got up at 4 a.m. and then I had to get in a car to Salisbury to then develop an app, I mean, that is so far.
Why do you have to go to... You can develop... There's no app developers in London?
Oh, I literally would have been... if I had found out one team was getting in a car to go all the way to Salisbury, I'd be like, put me on the other team.
Yeah, no way.
Let me do whatever it is that's not that.
Especially because, like, if
Beautiful
it was...
part of the world.
Oh, yes. It's gorgeous. If you've never been to Salisbury, beautiful.
Beautiful part of the world.
The jewel of Wiltshire. But also,
Tallest steeple in... What's the spire?
tallest spire in...
I think it's in the UK. It has the tallest church spire in the UK.
I can believe that. Here's the thing though, right? If they went to Salisbury because they're like, we have to go in the cathedral and do something specific, you're like, fair enough. But they just went in some
We have
random...
to go up the spire.
The spire's got the best app development in town. We got great internet up there. But they just went into some random office. They could have done that anywhere. Can I ask you,
Cha-Ching!
when did you realise Keir was going? Now, obviously it was obvious from the boardroom, but did you think midway through it would be him?
I didn't think it would be him at all. I mean, they were highlighting him a bit when they were developing the dog and he was really, truly doing nothing. Like they were definitely painting it in that light, but he didn't actually lose on a loss of contribution. Technically, I guess it was part of it, but he more lost because he wouldn't admit that the pitch didn't go well.
Yes, I guess it was more that what he did contribute was all bad.
Yeah, but he really didn't contribute much with Mia and the dog.
I wonder if there's a world where he could have argued himself out of that firing.
The thing is I said to Benedict, look, Lord Sugar's going to have a soft spot for Dean. We see it time and time again. It's like, Tommy sits on your end. What was he called?
What was it? A frog or something?
No, it was a turtle.
Oh, turtle, yeah, Tommy the turtle. He sits on your end.
I mean, he had a couple of shockers.
Yeah.
And what was his name?
Thomas Skinner.
Thomas Skinner. That was from a previous Apprentice. And he was a bit of a Jack the Lad, bit of a wheeler and dealer. And Lord Sugar definitely had a soft spot for him. And I think it was the same with Dean, because I also really respected the way Dean argued his case. He was like, look, I'm not an app developer. I just tried to make the best game I could. I was like, yeah, no, fair.
Yeah, because he probably had the strongest case against him to be fired.
I agree. I think in a different world, and possibly if he had argued differently, if Lord Sugar maybe didn't have a soft spot for him.
I think if Keir and he swapped personalities,
he
would have been gone.
I totally agree.
Actually, I think it's kind of crazy he wasn't fired this week.
Yes, because he ignored... Yes, I agree. I think he probably should have gone.
And maybe it's a little harsh Frederick was fired, because he was fired for like his team being like, not harmonious. Is that his fault?
Yeah, you're in charge of rallying the troops and making sure everything comes together. To be honest, actually, if you break it down, they lost because the game didn't have any information in it to teach kids.
Yeah.
Which was all down to Dean.
Yeah, and the other two on his team kept telling him to do it.
And the dog looked too young. It was pitched at a younger audience, which is down to Mia.
Yeah.
So, I don't know.
It really should have been.
I don't think Mia deserved to go at all, but what I'm saying is the failure of the task lay with that.
It should have been Fred, Dean and Mia as the three who came back. If you want to be super fair about it.
It should have been Dean.
And then Dean should have been the one who went.
Dean should have gone,
He should have
actually.
gone.
Now we're talking it through.
Yeah.
Anyway, he's a good watch.
Because he kept going, no, I refuse to have education. Nah. Cha-Ching.
Cha-Ching.
We'll be back next week with Talk of the White Lotus and, of course, more Talk of the Apprentice.
Yes.
How many more episodes are there of The Apprentice? Like 1 million?
There's still quite a lot of them. I mean, I'm almost thankful for a double firing just to get some numbers down. But yeah, we must have at least like 4 more weeks left, I would say.
Thank you so much for listening for a long time.
Yes.
We love you.
Cha-Ching.
Cha-ching.